What EQ? What's the question? What's going on? What EQ? I am a Z-list celebrity. I am not a Z-list celebrity. I'm not even on the alphabetic scale. I'm stuck at Zo, which means essentially that my presence is felt only by a cadre of friends, and occasionally I get on the condescending circuit of celebrities like Howard Stern, Dr. Phil. Now, Dr. Phil hasn't talked to me yet, partly because I haven't submitted anything to him, and my family would never consent to go on Dr. Phil because that's ludicrous. But that's the level of celebrity that I'm at. And Z-list celebrities come because it counts down celebrities, because we're focusing on celebration. These are the people that are in the embodiment of celebration. That's what a celebrity is. We celebrate you. Ooh, wow. You're more important than we are. And it's just, as far as celebrities go, therefore, I'm at the Zo level possibly because I occasionally get connections where they feel dramatic feelings of hatred for me, and there's a lot of loathing out there for me, but I don't get too much of it because nobody really cares. Like, it just doesn't matter anything about me. So that's the difference between, because you would say A-list celebrities, Z-list, and then Nin, Nate, Nev, Nix, all the way down to Zo-list. Anyway, I say all that because what a cue. One of the aspects of my celebrity, and it's also being a celebrity means you have something to promote. That seems to be what they're always doing all the time. My latest movie, my new endorsement, my new advertising deal, right? And I have a very simple thing to promote, and it is the N-word. And this is my book. It's the only copy, and I'm going to send it out to Seob. But so I'm going to read the end of my first chapter, which I believe is the racist N-words chapter, just because I opened it at randomly to that point. I don't even have page numbers in my book. It's not a book. I mean, it's an essay in book form. It's ridiculously small. To recap, nigger is the worst word we have. Racism is compacted in it at great loss to all of us. The universality and immensity of the efforts to censor it, all failed, have built the eventual destruction of its racist and abusive connotation into it through Mr. Lee. That's Russell Lawrence Lee. I introduce him in this chapter, and he is the man that I shaped everything around, that I wish I could meet some of his students, that is no question dead by now, and that's terrible, but I'm sure he has living students, and were I to become successful, there would be an interview. Like, wouldn't it be cool if Henry Louis Gates, I think that's the right guy, like, searched my genome for, how much of me comes from African Americans, and then also got me in touch with a Russell Lawrence Lee student that has a living memory of this man that has impacted my life so drastically. The fear of violence and the embodiment of fighting words within nigger has pushed the word out of the realm of polite analysis. Left to die and neglected, yet bizarrely prevalent, the racist N-word is racist. And lastly, it is truly the epitome of ethnic slurs, a mispronunciation of Negro used to separate people from one another. It is the deepest injustice our language has yet invented or put to use. Now, how do I get away cursing the N-word? Notice when I talk about it in dismissal and I degrade the word, I always call it the racist N-word. And that's what Flora had, my recent visit from my Zo-list enemies, right? Notoriety. Zo-list Notorietist. No, how do you say celebrity? Notoriety is how you say celebrity as a adjective for negative, but there is no noun. Like, I'm a notoriety, but it doesn't sound like celebrity. Notoriety sounds like it's has to do with my reputation, not me as being. So, for instance, Gigi Allen is notorious as being awful in every way, and yet amazingly has fans. A notoriety. I don't know. Anyway, I get focused on words too much. What was I trying to do with this? Oh, because the humanized N-word is not the racist N-word. It is a word that has multiple definitions. Before I came to it, before I even encountered nigger, it already meant oppressed, a racist degradation term against blacks, and an oppressive, dismissive term against people of color, based upon the empire that it was in. And it moves on from Roman, which is Niger in Latin, to British, UK, which is nigger in British, which means that's the oppressed N-word. You know, the niggers of India, we've just taken over it, and we're interested in expanding our, export of their natural good. Lastly, the American Empire, when nigger caught full flight and just shat on everybody's brain planet-wide. If there is nothing else that a random person from another country, well, I don't know if this is true, we have to test it, but I think foreigners are more likely to know nigger than hello, how you doing? Because it's such a plot twist, it's such a quirk of American Hollywood celebrity that it develops a multilingual bridge so that it's been everywhere. And so that some African Americans have gone to Africa and they encounter like shops that say niggers on the top of the shops, and they're selling like hip hop clothes. And they're like, come look at our wares. And the African American goes, what has happened? How is this possible? And there's no conception of a benign nigger. Niggerphobia depends upon every benign nigger being understood as a malign nigger. Those are obviously opposites, benign and malign. A benign nigger is harmless, I assert to it, but the racist N-word isn't. And you can just tell by context which one is which. I'm going to read the first paragraph of chapter 2, A Root in Our Language also, just because I'm going to, except it's a long paragraph. Language is one of the traits that has been pointed to in order to define us for as long as it has been analyzed or considered. It is a combinatorial glory hole, I didn't mean it that way, where creativity is the rule, yet adherence to pattern is as reliable a trend as there exists for human universals. Grammar has been extensively mapped. Each part of speech has a name, a place, a role, and a structure. Etymology is the study of the history of words, which are said to have texture and history quite separate from any context or surrounding thoughts. Nigger has always been considered a noun and has never strayed far from the American history it was born of. An outsider's perspective has led me to believe differently, that nigger is more than a noun, verb, or adjective, but indeed can be used as by each, can be each, and is itself a root in our language. Roots are parts of words, often heard being discussed in spelling bees or in the tracing of historical themes and terms. The most prominent that comes to mind is logos, word or symbols, which shows up in every scientific field in the fantastic suffix ology. Whether this was the first real evidence of nigger as the root of many words or not, it certainly can easily be pointed to as an inspiring and humorous instance of nigger taking on a transformation. Niggerology, the study of niggers, and then I've got a footnote, in my view it is the study of the people the terms and the many utterance of the term of related terms, I don't know why I made that one, may have first been coined as a joke, appearing in Spike Lee's feature film Bamboozled, but it is stuck in the lexicon enough to show up in public speaking events and books. Super Nigger, Mr. Lee's chosen name, was originally part of a Richard Pryor skit, and though he may eschew the word in his old age, the addition of the prefix super begs the application of the prefix sub nigger and super nigger. You can find racist websites discussing niggerism and plenty of empty racist N-word cultural developments orbiting niggering as a verb. Now, I'm sure I go on to talk about that more, but I need to correct and update this. There is no way Spike Lee's mention in Bamboozled is the first niggerology. No way at all. Harlem Renaissance, there were people that called the intellectuals the niggerati. There's no question niggerology goes before Spike Lee. But I don't actually, it's a question for Webster's when that started. And this is a question for you. When did it start in your life when you first learned that you were a nigger? And how did that change how you thought? Have a great day, a great one. Goodbye.